Good morning, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, joined here by several members of our command staff. Very scary situation this morning. At approximately 6:48 a.m. this morning, one of our deputies responded to a call for service involving a minor crash between an SUV and a vehicle uh, along the 16,400 block of the East Freeway, outbound main lanes. When she arrived, everything was basically staged along the inside shoulder lane near the barrier. She positioned her vehicle to partially cover some of that crash scene. So both she and the other two parties were outside of the vehicle. Within minutes of being on the scene at approximately 6:54 a.m., the collision occurred where a large work truck with a gooseneck trailer hauling a bobcat struck her patrol car and subsequently drove through the crash scene, striking not only our deputy but the other two civilians that were at the scene as well. The driver did remain on scene. At this point, there's no signs of any impairment. Everyone is accounted for. Our deputy and another individual were transported here by ground. Initially, we attempted to utilize life flight, but due to the weather conditions, they were unable to fly. But they were able to respond to the scene, and life flight personnel did ride in the ambulance with at least one of the persons that was transported here to the hospital. A third person was transported to another hospital. So far, what we know in regards to conditions is that our deputy is in serious but fair condition. She's expected to survive her injuries. She primarily has injuries to her legs. The other male that was brought here has more injuries, basically from his chest down, dealing with some broken bones. He too is in serious condition, but while he has a longer recovery period, he is also expected to survive his injuries. The other person that was transported to a second hospital, we're told that he's in good condition and he too is expected to survive his injuries. Our deputy began her career at the sheriff's office first as a detention officer in 2010, and eventually at 2014 she became a deputy, and she's been on patrol ever since. Obviously, we're still in the preliminary stages of the investigation, but at this early stage, I definitely want to commend her for her swift actions. Just from the information we've gathered, it appears that as the collision was occurring, just acting swiftly, she was able to push the individual out of harm's way, and while he still sustained injuries, perhaps spared him from death, because while he does have serious injuries, he didn't receive a direct impact, and we do have evidence to support that she was able to push him out, putting her life in danger. And then again, she was also struck. Thankfully, she was also wearing her body armor. It's pretty severely damaged from the impact, but hopefully it also protected her somewhat, especially her upper torso. But it does have some damage to her body armor because she was drugged for approximately 75 to 100 feet from the point of impact. So all of this could have been turned out, you know, just even more dire than what it is. But scary moments. We're coordinating with family and others right now to make sure she has the care and support needed. I want to thank those that have reached out, partner agencies like the Houston Police Department and others. Judge Hidalgo is just arriving here at the hospital as well as the other commissioners as well for caring for our deputy and everyone that was injured on the scene. Again, I think it's also important to note just the dangers on our roadways, not only to the general public, but obviously to deputies and first responders. Fatal crashes are up. It's a national trend. We saw high numbers, I think over 190 fatal crashes last year. So this is something we've been sounding the alarm about for a while, that crashes can be deadly, not only sometimes from collisions, but also from the secondary crashes and hazards on the roadway and other things. At this point, it appears that the driver of the work truck was coming off an overpass, I believe, onto the freeway, may have been coming at a high rate of speed. I'm just speculating at this point because it's under investigation, and obviously with the heavy load of the gooseneck and the bobcat that he was hauling, it just came in with more force. So that's the preliminary information we have at this point. Briefly in Spanish, and then I'll open it up for questions. Esta mañana aproximadamente 6:48 de la mañana, uno de nuestros oficiales estaba investigando un accidente automovilístico por el East Freeway, cerca de la calle Sheldon. Cuando salió a investigar el accidente, involucraba dos otros vehículos y dos otras personas. Vino una camioneta de trabajo, estaba cargando una traila con equipo de construcción. Cuando impactó o tuvo un choque con el carro de nuestro oficial y después atropelló a nuestro oficial y a las dos otras personas que estaban fuera de sus carros. En este momento, aunque todos están en una situación crítica, todos se van a recuperar, gracias a Dios. Entonces, es lo que vamos a hacer, estar seguro que todos tengan el apoyo y obviamente gracias por sus oraciones, por apoyar a nuestro oficial, y ella parece ser que va a poder sobresalir de sus heridas, gracias a Dios, y las otras dos personas que estuvieron heridas en esta mañana en el accidente automovilístico. Any questions?
Judge Shea with page 11 here, Sheriff. We were told that she was able to call and say, hey, I've been hit. She was crying, she was distraught, and she was under, I guess, a bridge of some sort. Can you talk about that call, talk about that situation when she actually was thrown in the air and then was under the bridge, essentially?
Yes, again, she arrived at approximately 6:48. At approximately 6:54 is where the collision occurred. At 6:55, within a minute, she radioed in distress, asking for help, asking for assistance, and of course, everyone just immediately, it caught everyone's attention. There was some initial confusion with the radio traffic because we were also working a nearby crash scene unrelated to that one. And so it was a very scary moment. But again, I commend her for her swift actions, the alertness of being able to get on the radio, be able to get help there quickly, first responders and other help to avoid any further crashes. It was very chaotic in the beginning, but again, her presence of mind, situational awareness, that will to survive are all commendable, especially again at the last moment. We've already seen some evidence where she tried to push that other person that still sustained injuries. No one was spared, but nonetheless, is expected to survive, and perhaps through her quick action of pushing the person out of a direct impact, perhaps that person will hopefully be able to survive. And so again, just commend her for her actions, and I think it's very admirable, and thankfully we expect everyone to survive.
Were you able to talk to her in the hospital? Did she say anything?
Not yet. When I arrived, they were moving her to some additional testing. So we met with the medical personnel and everyone there, but it's my understanding she's been alert, and obviously we're trying to just make sure that she has everything she needs, so she has full support here, at the hospital. And want to thank once again Judge Hidalgo for coming to the hospital, for always checking on our deputies and making sure that she's okay.
Sure. Maybe touch on the importance of slowing down, getting over, especially when you see law enforcement on the side responding to these crashes.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's important always to remind our public. I know there's new state laws as well that are geared to protecting first responders on crash scenes. Sometimes those secondary crashes could be so dangerous. And so, again, it's always important to slow down. I know there was some light fog this morning. Again, it could have been that the driver, thankfully no impairment that we know of, may have been traveling at high rate of speed, and with that extra weight of that gooseneck plus that bobcat on top of it, just brings more force into it. So it's just important everybody slow down. I just said a few moments ago that we really have a serious issue with fatal crashes on our roadways. More people died from crash situations than from violence in our county last year. It's been going up every year for the last few years, so we've been kind of sounding the alarm and working with commissioners' courts and others to find some solutions. But this is a national trend that we're seeing. After years of decline, crash scenes are going back up.
Sure, do we have an approximate age for the deputy?
I believe she's approximately 38 years old.
And what about the others injured?
I'm not sure of their ages. Both the other two parties were males, adult males, but I don't have their exact ages.
And if the other one is injured here, is he alert? Has anyone hurt him?
I don't know I don't know if he's alert. He had more serious injuries, just in the sense that he had more broken bones. He was in CAT scan when we arrived. I did check on his prognosis, and again, while he has a longer recovery, just because he has more broken bones stretching from his upper torso down, he's expected to survive.
You
And
said she was area?
Lower
Like,
leg
did
area.
have any
She has broken bones, at least one broken bone on her leg or her leg, and some other injuries to her lower legs as well. But she's expected to survive and make a full recovery. We're going to support her through that. No charges that I know of. But again, I'll leave that to our professionals out on the scene that are handling the crash investigation to determine that. But I don't know of any like criminal charges that are pending against anyone on this. It's obviously very unfortunate. If speed was a factor, that could have been a contributing factor. It could be citations, other things, but I'm not sure. Judge Hidalgo, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Sheriff, and to the leaders here at the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff, they had just brought her back from the CT when I was waiting by her room, so I did have a chance to talk to her. And we're gonna wait for her just a moment. So she is very much alert and talking and grateful. And I said, right now, the sheriff and his top brass are probably asking the community to pray for you. And she just kept saying, thank you. And so that's my plea again for folks to pray for her. It seems like she's surrounded by her colleagues there. Obviously, they're very much in shock as well. But they were saying that there seems to be blood flow to her legs, which is a good sign. And so for my part, that's the exact conversation we were having, Sheriff, with the rest of her unit, is that many times, first of all, we think our roads are flat and they're really not. And so this one, it was sort of undulating. And so you might be speeding and not realize that on the other end of the tiny undulation is a team of professionals trying to help somebody clear an accident. The fog. Sometimes we're in a hurry to get to where we want to get, and we forget that a car accident is somebody with a family, with a life, and the professionals helping them. So I do ask everybody pray for Brenda, that we redouble our efforts to be thoughtful about how we drive. And thank you, Sheriff, for always being so loving and supportive of your team, and to everybody here. I'll just say in Spanish, acabo de salir de hablar con Brenda, está consciente, dándoles a todos las gracias por la atención. Ella está bien, alerta, bueno, pero obviamente tiene esos problemas en la parte de las piernas que todavía están estudiando. Lo bueno es que dijeron que sí tiene fluido de sangre a las piernas, entonces eso significa flujo, entonces significa que esa circulación, bueno, eso es positivo, pero todavía están haciendo evaluaciones. Y ella agradecida de saber que la comunidad entera va a estar rezando porque se recupere. Los colegas muy preocupados obviamente con ella, pero también tuvimos una conversación acerca de la importancia de no conducir muy rápido. A veces imaginamos que nuestras vías son completamente planas, pero realmente hay un poquito de ondulación ahí, que si hay un montecito pequeño al otro lado pueden haber líderes oficiales como estos respondiendo a un accidente, a un crimen, lo que fuera. Entonces un recordatorio que cuando ven un accidente en la carretera, no pensar solo en que voy rápido, se me hace tarde, sino que hay una persona con familia, con toda una vida ahí, ella tiene una niña, y que, bueno, nosotros también tenemos ahí oficiales, policías que están respondiendo a estos incidentes. Y quería agradecerle al alguacil González y a todo su liderazgo por siempre estar tan pendientes de todo el equipo. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Judge. Any final questions?
Algo así, si puede mencionar cómo o en qué condiciones está la gente en este momento.
Sí, nuestra oficial, gracias a Dios que está por términos del hospital dicen que está en una situación, que sigue en una situación seria, porque obviamente en los momentos iniciales siempre puede cambiar el pronóstico, pero nos dicen que esperan que va a recuperarse, que se encuentra de una manera seria, pero condición seria, pero también nos dicen que se está recuperando, está alerta, está pudiendo hablar y está consciente de lo que está pasando. Entonces, realmente está en buena condición considerando el impacto que tuvo. Como mencionó, fue por medio de por lo menos 75 a 100 pies que fue tirada de donde pasó el impacto inicial.
Y las dos personas adicionalmente están también aquí hospitalizadas.
Una persona más está aquí y la tercera persona está en otro hospital, pero esa persona está en buenas condiciones. Las heridas son más menores. All right? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.